was the one who egged him on. You see?
Donovan grimaced as he clutched his left shoulder. Roos propped himself up using the shotgun.
Not you, dumbass. You shot me. Good for you. You gonna shoot me again?
Donovan eased himself down and leaned back against the train door. His blood mixed with the rain as it seeped through his fingers and streamed down his arm.
He was gonna kill us out here.
Now wait a minute here, Roos. We can't just kill him. We'll all get the damn chair for sure. I steadily reached for the shotgun. Donovan sat bleeding heavily and writhing in pain.
Come on now, Roos,
I pleaded. You hand me that before someone else gets hurt. Roos pulled the shotgun in closer to his waist.
Oh, hell. You know I ain't gonna hurt nobody. Excepting him. I'll kill the bastard.
Roos turned the shotgun back on Donovan.
Now wait a goddamn minute, Roos. No, let him shoot me. Go on ahead, Jeremy Roos. You short little redneck ass got lucky, that's all. Now you got the gun. Ain't you gonna finish me off then?
Oh, I'll finish you off. Do what I've been dreaming of doing for the past 7 years.
I walked in front of the shotgun. Looking back now, of course, I realized the gamble I took stepping in the line of fire like that. But I trusted Roos, and he trusted me.
Step out the way, Jacob. Let's be done with this demon from hell once and for all. Let me shoot him just once more, then.
Then what, Roos? Stop to think beyond all that rage, man. If Donovan dies, we all die. They'll fry us, damn it. Roos.
Roos stood. He raised the shotgun to his shoulder and looked down the sight, waving the barrel for me to step out of the way.
Roos, you go and kill him, and we've all killed him. You know that, brother.
I stepped back slowly.
We'll all die for what you've done.
I crouched in front of Donovan to shield him.
I can't believe it. After all the hell this man's brought into our lives.
I looked over at Billiard and Richmond. The look on their faces would have been downright comical if the situation hadn't been so tragic.
What now, boss?
Roos stepped forward to hand me the shotgun.
First you move on away from that beast.
I smiled and grabbed the shotgun. I stood and turned to face Donovan, his head cocked back and his hand still clutching his shoulder. He would die soon without a doctor.
Well, the first thing we need to do, fellas, is get this man some help.
I didn't think twice about it then. Donovan simply had to live. Then the falling rain, at least as my mind perceived it, seemed to slow to a sort of surreal pace. This was me thinking in desperation. In the same fashion as Roos walked toward the men, even their voices, along with Donovan's wretched groans, eerily slowed and deepened. I looked up into the rain, then closed my eyes for the briefest of moments, my thoughts illuminated by flickering photos of my recent past. I was first introduced to Donovan just 23 months before that day. Admittedly, as a transferee, not exactly under the best of circumstances. Even as trustees, Donovan still treated each and every one of us as though we weren't even worthy of licking mud off of his boots.
When you steaming clumps of manure are on a site working with me, you best breathe, eat, piss, and shit when and where I say to do so.
Now there he sat, slowly bleeding to death, powerless for the first time since I met him. For a second I thought, maybe Roos is right.
I was the one who dared them to follow me in there.
Donovan's voice broke through the foggy denseness of my contemplation.
It was me.
What the hell are you talking about?
Roos asked from among the others.
Jacob, can I please shut this son of a bitch up, at least? You shut your own damn mouth, tiny one. I ain't talking to you, no way.
Billiard and Richmond chuckled. Donovan looked down at the train door.
The Shreve Porter. She was like our own little clubhouse. We had a ball playing up in here. Every one of our parents about shit their britches when they first found out we were out here playing on Harvey's land. Most especially my pa. He almost seemed downright fond of it, like he took a liking to the idea of beating the unholy hell out of me. It became his hobby. I swear to you I feared that man more than God or the devil himself, and I loved him equally, for reasons I never quite understood.
Donovan placed his hand against the train door. Roos and the men came in closer. This was a sight of Donovan none of us had ever seen.
But, as the old saying goes, boys will be boys. The devil himself couldn't contain a southern boy once he got his mind set on something. And finding ways to get down to the Shreveporter was what I constantly had my mind set on. I thought about it in school every dang day.
Richmond sat on the cold ground, listening intently as Donovan spoke. Billiat followed suit, and Roos eased his nervous pacing.
We need to get him some help,
I pleaded with the men.
The guards must be looking for us. We can find them and lead them back here.
No damn guards.
Donovan seemed adamant, but it occurred to me that maybe it was just his bruised ego talking more than anything.
It rained like this once for 3 weeks straight. I'm talking deluge of biblical proportions. Us boys were going stir-crazy, I tell you. Then one day, the rain eased some, so I hatched a scheme. I rounded up a few of the boys during lunch and laid out my plan to ditch school.
In about 5 minutes, I say we sneak out through the playground door, one by one, and head on down to the Shreveporter. What do you say, fellas?
If our parents find out we ditched school, they're gonna skin us alive.
Oh, to hell with our parents. I'm tired of being told what to do all the time. And I know you all want to go down to that train car.
I don't know, Donovan. I just don't think it's worth the ribbon.
Oh, come on, Justin. Don't tell me you're yellow. Come on, it'll be loads of fun. You'll see.
I ain't yellow. Heck, I bet I'll get there before any of you dipshits get there. I go first.
In the distance, the Shreveporter, and I'll be damned if little Justin Thibodeau didn't beat every one of us to it. It had been months since I'd last laid eyes on her. My heart raced with excitement. The happiest times as a boy was when I was here. We played inside there for the next hour as the rain fell. I didn't even think of what my father would do. Then the wrath of God was set down upon us. It felt like hell itself was steadily rising as the whole mountain began to crumble.
Donovan paused and looked up into the night sky. The rain had slowed slightly, and none of us had even noticed. His chest was stained with blood. Of all times, why'd he choose that precise moment to recount that horrific story?
I closed the door again so that the mud wouldn't go down in the car. My first thought was to run like hell for help, but I hesitated. I thought about my pa, what he would do to me for ditching school, for disobeying his rules, for getting those 4 boys killed.
Donovan pulled his hand away from the train door. He looked down at his chest, his wound still bleeding heavily.
I never told no one. My father beat me harder than I'd ever been beaten. I missed school for a week, lying in bed crying as I recovered from my whooping. The only time I ever revealed what really happened to Justin Thibodeau and the rest of the boys was, well, just now. No one ever knew.
What followed those words was the longest pause, the most uncomfortable moment of silence since we first set foot out in that clearing. Donovan breathed in deeply. Then he exhaled and grimaced as he coughed. Those were the only sounds any of us made for several moments.
I've been haunted by this secret for too damn long. It's been eating away at my soul for going on 47 years. I can't take it no more.
Somehow he summoned the strength to stand. The men stood as he stood. He turned to face the door.
I've come back to the Shreveporter.
Finally, the pieces of the puzzle all came together. Donovan had us search for this train car so he could return here once and for all. He sobbed like a child as he pleaded with us to lower him into the rail car. Initially, he had intended to collect the remains of his friends. Now shot, he simply decided to join them where they lay. He hoped that they would understand his long absence and his decades-long silence. He hoped that his friends would forgive him, hoped that they would embrace him and finally bring a degree of peace to his tortured soul. He told us of the letter to the warden revealing his medical prognosis, telling him of the cancer progressing rapidly through his body, how he wrote that he would force the four of us to help him carry out the last of his personal affairs back in his home state of Kentucky.
These four are honorable men. It'll pain me to have to hold them by shotgun, but I give you my word, Daddy. They'll return on their own.
There wasn't much arguing among the men after all of that. We agreed to do what Donovan asked of us, each of us swearing to silence.
Just tell him I set you free in Kentucky and you all made your way back. The letter to my father will validate your story.
Roos joined me at the rail car door and we worked together to open it. Donovan looked up at the night sky again and mouthed something. The door opened. Donovan turned to face Billiard and Richmond. He nodded his head. They did the same. Then Richmond looked away. Donovan turned back around to us. He looked into the eyes of Jeremy Roos and nodded ever so slightly. Roos did the same. Then he turned to me and stood silent for a moment. He looked deeply into me, filling my soul with silent prose. His eyes spoke of 57 years of emotional and physical hardship, the likes that I, for one, had never experienced. My heart broke for him.
You fellas know what to do. When I'm in there, I want to stay in there. Forever. Goodbye, you steaming clumps of manure.
He smiled. Donovan disappeared into the darkness of the Shreveporter as we closed the door. For a moment we stood looking down at that door and waiting. Richmond was the first to pick up a shovel. He scooped up a mound of soggy earth and tossed it onto the rail car. We all followed suit. Maybe it's my melodramatic recollection of a long-ago tragic incident, but I could swear that almost immediately the rain subsided. We completely covered what was showing of that rail car. The Shreveporter and the echoes of that horrible tragedy would remain buried. Some might say it was Donovan's fate. Perhaps so. But still it haunts me. Even if we were fulfilling his wish, how we just left that man to die. Alone and cold. Down in the ground.